It's Tuesday, September 8th, 2020, although you'd swear it's November or December 8th, 2020 when you look out your window in many areas here in the Rockies and the High Plains. The storm is going to impact the region through Friday, folks, although the biggest impacts are certainly coming through the next 24 hours. This is a doozy of a storm system, folks, for this early in the season. We'll have travel impacts into early Wednesday. After early Wednesday, I think travel conditions will improve, although it's going to be slow going still over the higher elevations of I-80 and the mountain passes of the region. Now, this is a godsend for the fires. That fire situation in Colorado, the Cameron Peak fire area blowing up over the weekend, causing widespread smoke across the Front Range, a huge increase in acreage that burned up. But this is going to be a godsend, this storm will, for that fire and other fires burning in the west. And also, the areas most impacted by the real severe drought conditions this summer will get good moisture out of the storm system. Now, by the weekend, we're right back to nice September weather again. This doesn't mean we're into winter, folks. It's an interruption. We've got nice fall weather coming, but certainly it is fall now after the storm system is basically readjusting the jet stream. And we're likely, while still going to have some real warm, dry days coming up in September and October, we'll have other fronts as well. But good weather will return by the weekend. This is where we are today. The big ridge in the Gulf of Alaska, then the deep trough cutting into the United States. The upper level low over Utah is now bringing moisture into the region on top of the Arctic boundary that came into the region and is all away, is even pushed west of the Continental Divide. So this is where we get overrunning. Southwest winds over the cold air, moisture getting lifted over the cold air, great way to make it snow. The trajectory of the air, follow the wind barbs. Look how far. You wonder why it's so cold, because of the trajectory of the air is coming all the way up, basically from near the Arctic Circle, folks. You wonder how things could change so quickly. Well, over the weekend, we had record heat come up from the deserts, and now we've actually completely done a 180 and bring it in from the Arctic. This is our temperature relative to normal as of this morning. Look at the extent of this cold plunge. You know, this cold plunge is going to go east and will affect other areas of the Corn Belt and Midwest, just not the Rockies and High Plains. But that is one impressive cold blast. This is the precipitation that will fall through the next 3 or 4 days. Most of the heavier precipitation now has fallen up in northern Wyoming and southern Montana, but now it's central and southern Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico, the western and high plains that are going to get a goodly amount of moisture, widespread moisture, the best we've seen in months in some areas. And you can see the yellow here, the heavier precipitation in the mountains of Colorado up into Wyoming. This is going to just do wonders with the fire situation, especially the bad fire in the Front Range, the mountains west of Fort Collins. Look at all of that good moisture there. This is what temperatures are going to be like relative to average by tomorrow afternoon. Denver, 48 degrees below normal for temperatures by noon on Wednesday. That is one heck of a cold wave for this time of year. Look at this, minus 30 degrees relative to normal going all the way through Amarillo and headed towards El Paso. Now, let's see what happens with the pattern. This is for tomorrow morning. The upper level low barely moves. It just parks itself right along the Colorado-Utah line. High pressure stays in the Gulf of Alaska, and the storm is going to basically linger, keeping us cold and wet well into the day on Wednesday. By Friday, look at that. It barely moves. This is today. 2 days later, it's in east central Wyoming. Now, notice it's not as strong. So what it will do is keep a cool, moist, unstable air mass overhead. So basically, it's going to stay very cool through Friday. And Wednesday through Friday will bring occasional showers of rain on the plains and snow showers to the high country of the region. But by Saturday afternoon, we've got a nice high-pressure ridge returning to the region. It's not a hot one, but what it will do is bring a return of nice-looking, in fact, great-looking September weather by the weekend that will probably stretch into all of next week. And this is by next Thursday and Friday. A more zonal west to east flow goes across the country. So it'll warm up. Now, it won't be terribly hot except here in California. The rest of the nation, this is really looking like a fall pattern with the jet stream looking stronger, being more south towards the U.S. border. Tropical activity showing up again in the long-range charts maybe for mid to late next week, something to keep an eye on. Thanks for listening and watching to the Day Weather Podcast. Hopefully you can get through the storm okay. Talk to you Wednesday.